My name is Bruno Bello. I'm 34 years old. I'm a businessman and I live in this wonderful house that God has given us. We have a prosperous business, but the most important is the Holy Spirit. From 13 years old, I had the experience of working on the street market with my father because of the needs. It is a very tiresome work. We have to wake up very early and go to bed very late because we have to study in the evening. So I came from a family that was a very humble family, one of the most poor among of our family. We have old cars, we work on the street market, and we were about to lose our apartment. People come to cut the electricity of our apartment, losing the cars that have been stolen, the car we use for work caught on fire, and many things, accidents at the same time in a short space of time. So the situation was a very humiliating situation. We couldn't see any way out. So I start to focus and to plan, project my life thinking like this. If I have a degree, if I study, I would change this situation.
E eu já tinha na minha
And
mente.
I had on my mind when I get a degree, the situation would change. So I start to work. I kept on working actually and studying engineering. I got graduated and I got an internship in the time. And because of a crisis in the country, I had to go back to the street market. And there was a humiliation because people knew I was already graduated in engineering. And people start to mock me saying, now you have to be an engineer to work on street market. So that was a huge humiliation. So that was one day I accept an invitation from my dad that he was watching the programs of the church and he started to come to the church and I saw his change, a difference in his action, in his attitude. So I accept that invitation to come to the Universal Church.
Só que ali, na
But there, in the very first meeting, I remember that I heard about a faith, a different thing I have never heard in the Catholic religion. I heard about the campaign of Israel and came the first campaign. I got to the church in the end of the year when the campaign was about to start. So I started to listen to the testimonies and see the supernatural, the unbelievable. People, they have a message of faith. They had something inside of them, a joy that I wanted it. So I heard about the Holy Spirit. I knew there was something that I needed more than any riches, any material possession. The people who say they had all the money, the car, the houses, but the most important was the Holy Spirit. So I started to evaluate and said, I need it. I need this focus in my life. So I focus in seeking the Holy Spirit as the Lord of my life. So He would guide me. So I start to apply. I took my envelope of the campaign of Israel and I start to work on my sacrifice. And I surrendered not just the financial value, I gave my life, all my strength to seek the Holy Spirit.
e eu me lembro como se fosse
I remember as if it was today, the Holy Spirit came upon me and gave me an assurance of my salvation and gave me the assurance that I was his child, I was his son now, and this joy came upon me. And there was a before and after that date. So that day is marked on my life as the day of the baptism of the Holy Spirit. From that day on, I got a strength that was not just Bruno. The projects I used to do before start to work now. God started to be with me in every area. In my love life, I met my wife inside of the church. We dated, we engaged, we got married. A woman of God.
quando eu conheci o
When I met Bruno, I was already in a church, and what took my attention the most was his spirituality, his posture of a man of God, a serious man, and that made me look to him. He's the one, because I always had this in mind. I had to be with somebody of faith that would help me not put me down, that had to be a truly man of God.
I
O Bispo
remember
Macedo
Bishop
falar,
Macedo
ele
saying he
profetizou ali, quem
prophesied
ajudar
those
na
who would
construção
help the
desse templo
construction
vai
of the
ser rico.
temple would be
E eu peguei
rich.
aquela palavra
So I
para mim.
got that
Eu coloquei
word
toda a minha
upon me,
força, fazia
and I put
ofertas ali,
all my
mesmo sem
strength. I
condição.
would make
A gente
offerings
dava as
even
nossas
without
ofertas, dava o
conditions.
nosso voto,
We would
e
make
ali a
our
gente
vows,
ajudou,
give our
nem que
offerings,
seja com um tijolinho
our vows,
na
and we
construção
help.
desse
Even if
templo.
it was
E
with
hoje a gente
small
vê
brick,
tudo
we
que Deus tem
helped,
construído em
and we
nossas
can see
vidas.
all
Cada
that
fogueira
God has
santa que eu
built in our
fazia,
lives.
Deus ele me
Every
dava
campaign that I
mais
was
certeza,
doing,
mais
God was
força,
giving more
ao
assurance, more
ponto
strength,
de
to the
nos últimos
point
dois
that in the
anos a
last
gente ter a
2 years
oportunidade de abrir a
we
nossa
had the
própria
opportunity
empresa.
to
E
open
hoje eu
our
trabalho com a
own
minha
company.
esposa, né?
And
Nós
today I work
temos uma
together with my
empresa
wife.
de
We have
consultoria,
a
desenvolvimento de
business, a
novos
consultant
produtos,
business.
negócios,
We work
marketing,
with
e nós
marketing.
prestamos
We have
serviços
many international
internacionais.
clients.
Temos a
We had the
oportunidade de
opportunity to
viajar para o
travel
mundo
all
todo.
around the world,
Estivemos
recently
recentemente
in
nos Estados
USA,
Unidos, no México,
Mexico,
na Argentina,
Argentina,
na China.
China.
E
And in
nesse
this
caso
case
veio a
of the
pandemia.
pandemic,
E
we who
nós que
work for
trabalhávamos,
an
né,
international
para essa
company
empresa
also,
internacional,
we
nós
had
tivemos
this
essa
blessing and
benevolência de
this
Deus, né?
care
Tivemos
from
esse
God.
cuidado.
We were
Nós
not
não
left on
fomos
the cold, on the
desamparados, pelo
contrary.
contrário, a nossa
Our
vida ela cresceu
life
ainda mais.
grew even
Deus
more.
ele
Our
prosperou a nossa
business is
empresa. Nós
prosper.
passamos
We
a ter
start to
mais
have more
negócios, fechamos
business, more
mais
clients, more
projetos,
projects.
né? A
Our
nossa
life
vida
continued
continuou em
developing.
evolução ao ponto de
We
nós
grew
crescermos
even
ainda
more in
mais
the
na
pandemic
pandemia.
situation.
Inclusive nessa última
Including the
campanha,
last
nós
campaign, we
tivemos
had
a
the
alegria
joy
da nossa
for
empresa prosperar
business
tanto
to
no meio da
prosper
pandemia
so
que
much
nós
that
pudemos
we could
pagar a
pay
conta
the
de
electric
luz da
bill of our
igreja, da catedral
cathedral
de
here in our
Sorocaba
city.
sozinhos. Então a gente
We
pagou a
paid
conta
in
no
the
mês de
month of
março,
March, the
no
month
mês de
of
abril
April, and
e
the
no mês
month
de
of
maio
May.
demos o valor
We
também
paid the
referente a
whole
essa conta.
amount.
A gente tem
And
uma
we have
casa
this
maravilhosa,
beautiful,
que é a casa dos
wonderful
nossos
house.
sonhos.
And even this house became with my own personal taste. I could buy everything that I wanted. What I like the most, it's the peace. The people that enter my house, they don't want to leave because they see the difference.
The secret of the campaign to work is for you to prepare it. Well, before it starts, you start to examine yourself. How am I spiritually? What have I been doing for God? I don't do it for the church, the universal church. I don't do it for Bishop Macedo. I do because I see there the hand of God, and I know where the offering goes. I see the work in the prison, the social work. I see the work and the comfort we have inside of each church. I had the opportunity to travel and to see the church outside of Brazil, in Colombia, Uruguay, Mexico, USA. It's the same spirit, and this is something that is very nice.
A campanha de Israel ela é como
The campaign of Israel is like an exam, it's like a test. It's a test of faith. So there our faith is put to test, and many people they fail. They do not do it right because they forget the spiritual part. They focus only on the financial and they don't do the spiritual. Or the inverse. They do spiritually but don't do financially. It's together, it's both legs. The spiritual leg and the financial leg. With both, we go with all our strength.